Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sean Atkins, Chair of the East Point Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, I will start our meeting as we are just beyond the 7 o'clock hour. It's our regularly scheduled February meeting. Staff, would you please sound roll call to establish a quorum?
Commissioner Lovett, Commissioner Bell, here. Commissioner Miller, present. Commissioner Fan, here. Commissioner Atkins,
present.
Commissioner Tucker, here. Commissioner McKnight, Commissioner Maxwell, and Commissioner Mitchell.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, we will honor a moment of silence, and I'll also say that this evening, as you can see, our Commissioner Lovett is not with us. We want to think of her as we take this moment of silence as she is on travel for the funeral of her brother. Thank you. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Someone is playing a joke. So we don't have a flag in the building. Okay. So that was your exercise for the evening, okay? All right. Be seated. Can we put in a request for staff? Can we put in a request to make sure that there is at least a set of flags here in the event that we have to come to the annex for a meeting? That's happened a couple of times to us. Thank you. All right, at this time, Commissioners, I entertain a motion to adopt our agenda. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we adopt our agenda as printed. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our agenda is adopted. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to approve our November 21st, 2019 meeting minutes. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we approve our November 21st, 2019 meeting minutes. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our November 21st, 2019 meeting minutes are approved. Before we go on to new business, can I ask tech to please check our mics? I could barely hear Commissioner McKnight, and I really can barely hear myself. Can you hear me? The people in the back cannot hear us at all. So, yes, if you would please. Thank you. I was going to get you a microphone for Christmas because I could not hear you.
You talking about London?
No, I'm talking about Gina. Testing, 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 testing.
Hello? Hello?
Testing.
Is that better in the back?
Oh, mine is.
In the back row? Okay.
Get him. Hello? There you go. Yeah, all right.
Okay.
We good?
Thank you. I think so. If you could turn the volume up a little more, that'd be great. Okay. All right. So our next agenda item is new business. At this time, I will read our rules for public hearings. They will apply to all of the items on the agenda for this evening. Public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission shall be conducted in accordance to Section 10-2219 of the East Point Zoning Code and Development Regulations as follows. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed case will be provided an opportunity to address the Commission. The applicant for the zoning case or the applicant designated representative, if any, will be entitled to speak first, followed by other speakers in favor of the proposal for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning case will then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. By majority vote, the Commission may increase the total time for speakers provided that each side is given the same amount of time. If there is more than one speaker for a side, the chair or the presiding officer may limit the allotted time to each individual speaker other than the zoning applicant. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his or her allotted time for rebuttal. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum. Prior to speaking, each speaker shall state his or her first and last name and his or her current address. Each speaker shall speak only to the merits of the proposed zoning decision under consideration, shall address remarks only to the Commission, and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The presiding officer may refuse a speaker the right to continue if, after first being cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of decorum. You've heard our rules of decorum for our public hearing. Staff, would you please sound our first agenda item?
Our first item this evening is case number 2019V-021-12. The applicant, Sylvan Airport Parking, LLC, and United Consulting. The applicant for 3025 Sylvan Road. The applicant seeks a variance for relief from parking lot landscape islands per section 10-6009 and relief from section 10-12021, sections 1 and 2 to encroach within the 50-foot and 25-foot undisturbed natural vegetative buffer.
Thank you. As mentioned, this item does require a public hearing. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, second by Commissioner Mitchell, that we open the public hearing for this agenda item, case number 2019V as in Victor-021-12. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Is our applicant present this evening?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is David Huter. I am the Director of Ecological Services at United Consulting, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I have the owner is here with me tonight, as well as other representatives and their legal counsel.
Okay, David, would you please state your current address?
Certainly. I work with United Consulting. Our address is 625 Holcomb Bridge Road. That is Norcross, Georgia.
Thank you.
So I'd like to start with a little bit of background. First of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come in and speak with you. I know that I was here and spoke with most of you at some previous meetings. And obviously what we have tonight is a revisit to an agenda item that we spoke with you about both at work session and then briefly came up at the last meeting that I guess never really occurred. But basically, I just want to give a little bit of background with regard to that. We met with city staff in late 2019 regarding this project. We talked with them about the application process to submit for a variance, put in that application for the variance. We posted signs at the property to give the community notice of both the CZIM as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We had the CZIM meeting back on December 17th of 2019. At that meeting, we did not have anybody from the community, no residents, no one came to that meeting and expressed any concerns. We also asked staff if they had received any comments from anybody prior to that meeting, and we were told that there were no comments received from anybody within the community. We then attended the Planning and Zoning work session where I met with most of y'all and we had some conversation about this project. We talked about it. You asked questions, we answered your questions. At that meeting, it seemed like there didn't appear to be any significant concerns with regard to the application and the request for the variances. At that meeting, we were also provided with a draft copy of a staff recommendation, which included a recommendation for approval. So we, of course, thought that's the direction we were heading. We then came to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on January 16th. If you recall, that was the meeting where there was some police activity that night and there were some commissioners that were not able to make the meeting, so you did not have a quorum, so we did not actually get to have the meeting, a vote at that meeting. So at that time, again, while we were there, I guess it was actually prior to the roll call for the meeting, Linda Dunleavy, your counsel, pulled us aside and brought to our attention that there had been a mistake made or some sort of an error with regard to the zoning for this property. The property is zoned I-1, light industrial, and within the zoning rules for that, it does not allow for parking or this type of facility. It's a park and ride airport parking facility, and that is not allowed. We were told that must have been some sort of a mistake or oversight within the rules when those documents were put together. that was left out of the zoning, and that we had discussed that one of the things could be done was a text amendment, which is also an agenda item for tonight. It's the fourth agenda item for tonight. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that while I'm here, if possible. But
You can only speak to the agenda item that is current.
that's fine.
on
Well,
the
then I'll
agenda.
come back up and we'll talk about it at that point then.
Exactly.
That's fine. But anyway, so we spoke about that. She said that a text amendment could be done to be able to allow for the parking within our district. And again, that it appeared to have been some sort of an oversight within the rules. And to that point, my client has received in the past letters from the city that stated that parking was an allowable use within that zoning district. They have a letter from 2011 when they first purchased property, and then again in 2017 when they purchased additional property for this expansion. They received letters from the city stating that that was an allowable use within the zoning district. So we're not quite sure where the disconnect occurred with that relative to us being told that it was an allowable use, and then the current zoning language saying that it's not an allowable use. So to that point, obviously, we had the meeting, or we came to the Planning Commission meeting that you did not have a quorum, so we're obviously back tonight. Well, for what I understand from communication with city staff is that following that meeting on January 17th, city staff then initiated and held a community meeting with some of the members of the River Park neighborhood and received some feedback and some comments, some concerns from members of the River Park neighborhood. We were provided that information this past Friday in an updated staff report. So in light of that, we have not had a chance to really go through any of that information. We've not had a chance to reach out to any of those city personnel. It was only received contact information for representative with the River Park neighborhood. Albert sent that to me, I think, late yesterday or this morning. I can't remember when I got that information from him. But we would like to be able to have an opportunity to reach out with them. So we would respectfully ask that you defer this application so that we have an opportunity to address those comments and be able to come back to you with a response to some of those comments that were presented in the recent staff report. And I'll take any questions if you have any questions.
No questions, it's just a public hearing at this time.
Okay.
Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Any other proponents? Yes.
My name's Alex Chavez, and I'm the owner of that property. So on my
Your
history...
current address, please?
I'm sorry?
You have to state your current name and your...
Oh, I'm sorry. Alex Martin Chavez. My current address is 3708 The Strand, Manhattan Beach, California. That's where I live. So I just want to give a little more background on the history of it. So we bought the warehouse that was the old Owens warehouse in 2011, and we purchased it based on the zoning that was there at the time. And then what happened was we were able to finally get Owens, and Owens wanted to sell to us the property that you're seeing there now, the proposed property, of which had 250 already spaces. So there's 250 spaces on Sylvan. It's kind of that finger that sticks down. So what we're trying to do is create more spaces. We've already gone to the Army Corps of Engineers. We've been working on this for 14 to 16 months. We are this close to the Army Corps of Engineers. Actually, we were hoping to get the approval for it before tonight's meeting. It didn't come yet, but they've assured us that we think we're going to get it. So the idea for us, in order to alleviate some traffic and to combine the properties, is actually to move our entrance to the L piece, have our parking lot in the middle there, which will have that ramp that goes up to the warehouse. So we'll have one facility, and the idea is to put it as much as we can into one facility. We have the parking lots across the street, which are on Hapeville, which would reduce traffic and not a lot of whatever, but it would make it a much more efficient operation, and it would help, I believe, the Sylvan Road or the population that's going on. So we bought this. It was a recession. I don't know if you guys remember, but of course you do. It was in 2011. And so since then, we've added 160 jobs, and we're very proud of our operation. Hopefully everyone's been able to use it or at least see it. And so we're really excited about this. So this kind of came as a surprise to us. But I'm here to give you any history on the property or whatever we can. We would really like to see this through. And I understand the comments that staff did find. They found 3 people. We didn't have anyone. I'm more than welcome to go talk to each one of those people. If there's more, we'll talk to them as well. But it's something we really want to try and get through if we can, as much as possible, because we did make the investment on all that property, and we have a lot of interest in it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other proponents here to speak to this zoning case?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm Aaron Watson, 1745 Homestead Avenue in Atlanta. I'm here with the proponents, and I just want to reiterate the request to defer this for tonight and defer the text amendment as well, and take up the substance at a later point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case?
Good evening. My name is Alex Brock with Smith Cambrell Russell. Office address is 1230 Peachtree Street. I'm here on behalf of the applicant tonight. And just to reiterate briefly what some of the previous speakers noted is that the applicant has spent a significant amount of time and effort and expense to get to where we are tonight. They have fully complied with the procedures for public meetings for the variance application. They were somewhat surprised last week and this week with the turn in direction from the January meeting date, and we respectfully request a deferral so that we can go back and speak with the neighborhood and continue with our variance application. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Any other proponents? Any other proponents here? Seeing none, are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning case? Any opponents here? Step to the podium, state your first and last name and your current address, sir.
It's Joe Anderson, 2765 Blunt Street, and I'm the president of the River Park Neighborhood Association. We're totally against this project. It is a way to destroy a whole natural setting that is out there that we've enjoyed for. I've lived in River Park for 20 years, and this has always been a nice spot to visit and to take your animals in. When this company gets started, what we're going to have here is River Park it's called River Park because there's a river that goes through it. That river is already polluted. It's part of the South River tributary, and any runoff from this parking lot is going to go right into that river. Excuse me, especially if there are no trees there to kind of block it and absorb some of that runoff. So that's something of major concern. We need to be sure that doesn't happen. Already, like I said, the river is fenced off, so people can't go near it. And there's a little elementary school down there too as well, which is also fenced off. And there's a traffic situation. I don't know how you do it. Anybody wanting to get to that place basically is coming off of 85, and I have been experiencing traffic problems there for a long time. It's always somewhat slow. Sometimes there's almost to a dead heat, and any traffic coming off of that 85 and getting back on 85 right there is affecting the area considerably. And the tree loss. I mean, you can't replace a tree once there's concrete on the ground. You can't, if you're going to pave over all this area, you're never going to be able to use it again to have a forest, and that's very important. It's a natural setting. If you should walk through that area if you get the chance. There is still some wildlife that is there, although not as noticeable as in the past. There's plenty of birds flying around using the trees. We really need to protect this area for the simple reason that it's the last of it there. And when it's gone, River Park will have no place to go. The picnic. But I hope you will take into consideration our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any other opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Please step to the podium, state your first and last name and your current address.
My name is Dana Render, and my current address is 2937 Blunt Street. I've been an East Point resident for a couple of years now, and I do understand that it is growing. However, with the expansion of an impervious surface, we will lose the ability to contain stormwater. We already have stormwater runoff issues in our neighborhood. Additionally, we'll lose habitat for the animals that are there. Additionally, we'll lose pollutant suppressants for the pathway of the airplanes that fly over our neighborhood. We do need those mature trees to be there. Additionally, I do go monthly to our neighborhood association meetings. I've never seen a representative from Peachy Parking come there to talk about this initiative. I've never received anything in my mail about what was happening, and I've never seen a flyer on my door about this initiative. The first time I heard about this initiative was in our meeting, which is why we spoke up about it, and we are vehemently opposed to this coming to our neighborhood. We do understand that this would be a missed opportunity for revenue for the city. However, with all the growth that's happening, we do understand that there are other opportunities for it. Our neighborhood is growing. We want it revitalized, but the last thing that we really want is to see coming off of the highway is another expanded parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other opponents here to speak against this zoning case? Any other opponents? Any other opponents? Seeing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we close the public hearing for case number 2019 V as in Victor -021-12. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
For case number 2019V-021-12, staff recommends denial.
Commissioners, you've heard an opportunity to hear from the applicant. You've also heard an opportunity to hear for those who oppose this zoning case, and staff's recommendation is for denial. At this time, I entertain a motion.
I want to make a motion for deferral, but for discussion.
Okay, is there a second? It's been moved that we defer this agenda item, and Commissioner Fan, could you please make that for a time certain?
To a meeting in March.
Okay.
In March.
And your second still stand, Commissioner Tucker? Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Fan that we defer this item to our regularly scheduled March meeting. It's been seconded by Commissioner Tucker. Is there any are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Question.
Yes, Commissioner Mitchell.
My reason for deferral is that the individual stated they had no conversation with the community, and they posted information about the meeting, but there was no back and forth, and they wanted opportunity to meet with the community. We've done that in the past, so they could sit down and talk with the community about their concerns.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? It's always the third Thursday of the month. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? Okay, just one second. I've started something dangerous, okay? We're going to carry the motion, and then once we carry the motion, and then I'll answer your question, so the process isn't really a back and forth, and I really only answer the lady's question in the front because the meetings are standing meetings. And so our work sessions are the second Thursday of the month, and our commission meetings are the third Thursday, okay? There is a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Fan to defer this agenda item to our regularly scheduled March meeting. It has been seconded by Commissioner Tucker. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, Commissioners, all in favor of the motion sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. The ayes have it. This agenda item is deferred, okay? Your question, ma'am, could you state that again, please? I have a short memory, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So that process, in order for the item to get on the agenda, the applicant had to perform certain actions, and some of those were to notify the community about the proposed zoning case, and you should have received, if you were within a certain radius of the property, a postcard or some type of notification, okay? There were also meetings that are established, the CZIM meetings for citizens to come. Now, that notification process, I'm not sure of the details for that, so staff may want to speak on how citizens are notified about CZIM. At this point, the item is already on the agenda. I don't know if the applicant is legally bound to have any more meetings with the applicant, with the community. However, the applicant stated that it is their wish to do so, and we are holding them to that, as that was the basis of Commissioner Phan's motion. And so if I would ask that the applicant, if you know when you'd like to meet with the community, if you have a date or if you have a regularly scheduled community meeting, if someone is here from the River Park community and they can state when that meeting is, and there can be a conversation about when that will take place, I would appreciate that.
You mind if
I'd like to hear somebody from the community to talk about when the next meeting is.
Our next meeting is our meeting is the fourth day of every month.
The fourth Thursday of every month. Can you give a time and a location?
I think it starts at 7, and it's at the East Point Church.
East Point Church. 2850 Sylvan Road, 7 o'clock p.m., fourth Thursday of every month. And Mr. Anderson, are you the president of the association? Okay. Would you please meet with the applicant to make sure the applicant is on the agenda? The applicant has no excuse for not knowing about the meeting, as it is televised, it is a part of our record, and we fully expect that the applicant will engage with the community and address any of their concerns. Okay?
If I might, Mr. Chair, we're
Yes.
totally out of order on this, but
We
we do
are.
want to provide information to the community. So according to my calendar, it appears that the neighborhood meeting will be on February 28th,
The 27th.
the 27th. And then the work session for planning and zoning in March is March 12th. And the regular meeting, which is like this meeting for the vote, would take place on March the 19th.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, Commissioners, our next agenda item is 2020 V as in Victor -001-01. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Chair. In case number 2020 V-001-01, the applicant, Geosam Capital U.S. Georgia LLC, and Jeremy Keever, the representative, is seeking to develop 32 new single-family homes and is requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for both the front and rear yards on lots 1 and lots 15 through 21, as noted in sections 10-2061, subsection E, B, and D. This is located at 3049 Stone Road.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2020 V as in Victor -001-01.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Miller.
motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Phan, that we open the public hearing for this agenda item. All in favor sound aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Is the representative for Geosam Capital U.S. present?
Yes.
Okay. Please state your first and last name and your current address.
Chuck Abbott. I'm at 2390 Main Street, Tucker, Georgia. Principal for Kaizen Collaborative. I'm the civil engineer of record for the site.
Okay.
Yes. Good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for hearing our case. Just going over a brief summary. The 3049 Stone Road project is 11.9 acre parcel. It was previously developed as 32 single-family lots back in 2006. Geosam Capital purchase this property and hoping to continue the development. In 2006, the property was about 70% developed with a stormwater detention pond constructed, storm sewers, sanitary sewers, and some curb and gutter. So with that, we have applied for our concept plan, and subsequently, we need to seek a variance for 8 of the lots, which are lots 1 and 15 through 21. We're seeking a variance for a 10-foot reduction in the front and rear setbacks, except for lot 19, which abuts the cul-de-sac. We actually need 30 feet of relief for this lot. We're trying to construct a 40 by 50 foot house box, and basically under the previous code in 2006, this development was allowed by right, but subsequently after that, the zoning code has been modified, which would preclude these 8 lots. So with that said, we're seeking a variance. We've also met with the public. We had community input, and their main concerns were that for lots 14, 15, and 16, they did not want to see the rear of the parcel of the houses, so we developed a sidewalk and landscape plan to adequately buffer those houses and, just to be good neighbors to the Grant Estates development, which is across the road. One other reason for the variance, a signal arm was installed directly across from the Grant Estates entrance to construct a signal, and this is exactly where the original entrance was going to be, so we relocated it down the hill to the east, which we believe it provides a better line of sight, and it will not hamper residents going in and out of Grant Estates.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Yes.
Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case?
Hello, Jeremy Kiever. Our office address is 2170 Satellite Boulevard in Duluth. I would just like to point out that meeting with the community, the main issues were property value, like we would all assume they would be. And we assured the community that us requesting this variance is to try to put as large of a home as we can to get the initial prices of the homes higher, which will keep their values higher. And that just, that was one of their main issues, and we agree wholeheartedly. We want to build or have bigger, nicer homes than what these current conditions would allow for. That's all.
Thank you. Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning case? Any opponents here to speak against? Please step forward, state your first and last name and your current address.
My name's Herbert Antone. I live at 3150 Green Valley Drive. I actually live at the end of the street. So I found out later on that this particular project was going to take place. But one of my concerns is the previous person who actually went out and tried to build the lots. We had a lot of runoff in the streets and mud everywhere, and it was a lot of corrosion, where the lots are eroding down on Green Valley. Now, I don't understand what variance mean, and I wish somebody would give me some clarification in terms of variance, and I'm also concerned about, you talked about the number of houses there, that community there, we have pretty good price homes. So I don't want to put some $70,000, $80,000 house in it, which is going to drive the value of our homes down because it is in the immediate area. So I have a couple of questions I would like to be answered, right? And I just want to know the whole point of the meeting anyway, if the permit has been given to them to build anyway. So, I mean, I'm just a part of the community. I don't want to be riding through mud either, and I don't want land to be eroding everywhere. You know, it sounds good. It all sounds good, you know, initially, you know, with money in their pocket, but, you know, what's the damage that's going to be done to the community? You know, and we're, as a city, we're notorious. We just go ahead and just okay everything, you know. As a city, we do. You know, we already have enough traffic, you know, speaking of which, also on Camp Creek. So this is going, Stone Road is a very small, it's a 2-lane street, so if you build a subdivision, how's that going to, you know, it's going to be a lot of traffic there also. We already have congestion problems as it is right now.
Thank you, Mr. Antone. Any other opponents to speak against the case?
My name is Bobby Wing, and I live at 3064 Green Valley Drive. And I was not aware of the development starting or beginning until I noticed the heavy equipment, and I live on Green Valley, so I'm behind this development. And when they started working on this in 2006, we had an awful lot of water runoff and just a river of mud, red mud on Green Valley Drive and also on Dogwood Drive. I would walk in that area and I just couldn't even get through the mud. So that is a concern of all of us on Green Valley Drive about the runoff, the water runoff that we experience. And some people are already experiencing that water runoff from developing that property, and we just want to make certain that we do not get that water runoff, that river of mud on Green Valley Drive. That is one of the main concerns. How will that affect us, and how will these developers, these builders, be responsible for taking care of that situation? And also, how would the traffic affect Green Valley Drive? Will all of the traffic come out on Stone Road, or would we experience any increased traffic on Green Valley Drive?
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. Any other opponents to speak against this zoning matter?
Good evening. My name is Doris Waters. I am a resident at 3034 Green Valley Drive. It's good to see Clyde Mitchell and some of you others that I've seen from years back. In the year of 2008, the Shawnee's Development Company began to clear away the beautiful land behind our homes. Gobs of trees, plenty of protection from water and erosion and etc. At that time, my house was inundated with mud, debris, broke my windows in my basement during their initial development. Of course, they went into bankruptcy or whatever, and the construction was stopped. But in the meantime, I had to come to court out here in East Point and sue that construction company for the damage that happened to my home. Severe damage. Windows broken, mud, just mud caked 2 feet in my basement, and etc. Trees destroyed, and that's my concern, that nothing like this happens again while the construction company is proceeding with their venture. What guarantees are we getting that we won't have that type of flooding, erosion, etc., as they continue with our project?
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Any other opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Any other opponents? Please step forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia McClain. I reside at 3060 Stone Road. I just want to speak where the gentleman said that they did speak to the community, and they agreed to put up some sidewalks and some shrubbery to kind of block the back of those houses. The first thing that Granite State, which is a subdivision that's right at the top of my house, Granite State just didn't want the entrance in front of their entrance. So the company agreed to move the entrance down, which is right in front of my house. So my understanding, this is one way in, one way out. 32 houses, almost 64 cars, approximately. You think one house have 2 cars. So that's 64 cars. In one way, out the same way. Like the gentleman said back here, Stone Road is a narrow street. It's just one way up and down. When they built Hager Hills, they built Granite State. We have a lot of communities in our area. We have Cherry Blossom, we have Oak Forest, we have Windsor, we have Hager Hills, we have Granite State. I think we need to keep the green space just for erosion and things like that, and for the little wildlife that lives in there that has been forced out because of the development. Also, I just don't think that we need another subdivision in our community. I think our community is weighted just the way it is. We haven't had any traffic analysis, so Stone Road is heavily traveled. It is, and it's just a one-way street, a two-way street. It's not double-laned or anything. You move the trees, you're going to hear all the traffic. I live directly on Stone Road. I can't hardly back out of my driveway for the traffic. I've asked East Point to put speed bumpers. I've asked them to put signs, cars backing out. Have not had any of that happen. I've been there 20 years, and I still don't have signs saying cars backing out. It's like 6 houses right in the front of where they are planning to develop this property. All of us have to back out into the street, every one of us. So I would just like to ask that you leave the green space. We have enough subdivisions in our area, and just leave the green space.
Thank you, Ms. McClain. Any other opponents to speak against this zoning matter?
My name is Shirley Bradley. I actually live right next door to where they're planning to put the entrance and exit. I just put in a driveway because it was so dangerous coming out into Stone Road because of the traffic, because of the school buses. What I don't understand is at Dogwood Drive, there's a caution light. This is only like 10 car lengths up. And then there's a light at where Granite Estates is, where I thought the entrance was going to be. So I just found out that it's going to be right next door to my land. I'd like to know what they're going to do. Is there going to be a wall? They actually have a marker on my land with the little orange thing on it. I don't know why that's there, but 2 gentlemen were there, and I asked them what were they doing, and they were saying, well, we have to mark this. So I need to know what that's about. There's a tree that's leaning towards my house, and when it went into bankruptcy, I traced the owner, could not find the owner, found out who, that they had not paid the taxes. East Point told me that I would have to cut down the tree myself, and that's on their land. So I said, okay. I paid a couple $1,000 towards the taxes. I was just going to try to buy the land, or at least put a lien on it. And when I got contacted to say, can we refund your money so we can take the lien off, the agreement was they were going to cut those trees down that's leaning right towards my house. Haven't heard anything else from that. So I need to know what the plans are to, for protecting my house. I'd like to have a wall or something, especially with all those cars lined up coming out every day.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley. Any other opponents to speak against this zoning matter?
Yes, my name's Pat Patterson, 3325 Hager Way. Now, my main concern is the traffic on this two-lane road.
The microphone up, Mr. Patterson.
Is like I said, the traffic. Now, it's bad enough you got Dogwood, you got cars coming from like the Greenbrier area down Stone Road, going up Stone Road, you got Granite Estates. We're trying to get out at Hager Way, and it's just congested. There's no turning lanes up near Granite Estates, and it's enough traffic as it is right now. That's my main concern. But I can say that I did have a friend that lived on, I think it's Green Valley. I did witness all that mud that the families were talking about, and they have a real good concern, problem with that at that time. But my main interest is the traffic. It's bad enough. Stone Road is not a great road as it is. It needs some work done right now. Now, if you bring in all this heavy equipment, they're not going to fix the street while the construction's going on. So it's just going to get worse. So that's just my concern, the traffic.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Are there any other opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Any other opponents?
One other thing.
The gentleman is coming, Mr. Anton.
Neil Martin Bennett.
Speak into the mic, please.
Neil Martin Bennett, 3151 Dogwood Drive. I live on the corner of Dogwood and Green Valley. We've had a lot of rain recently, and I could see the excess water flowing downhill from the proposed subdivision. The grade of the subdivision is substantially higher than the grade of the houses on Dogwood and the grade of the houses on Green Valley. It sits above it. So I think it was mentioned they had some kind of water plan. The community needs to be made aware of that, because once that is all paved, the water needs to go somewhere. I live on the top right corner of that map, and Green Valley is on the back of that map. The traffic issues are absolutely real. It's a terrible, terrible idea to put 32 single-family homes with 60 to 80 cars that need to get out first thing in the morning on Stone Road. Stone Road has one way in each direction. Woodland Elementary is right down the street. There's school buses backed up in the morning. Mount Olive, or what used to be Mount Olive, I think it's Asa Hilliard now, it's around the corner on Mount Olive, with elementary school students, and Woodland is, I think, a middle school, hundreds of students, and that is maybe a quarter mile down the road, maybe even less. What's going to happen when we have all those kids going to school? When school buses are trying to get into that neighborhood? Putting in all those houses without addressing the traffic is irresponsible. Putting in all those homes without addressing the water issue is irresponsible. In 2015, I lost a furnace because that area floods. At the bottom of Dogwood and Green Valley, that's sort of the bottom of the hill, and that area is prone to flooding. There's standing water there right now in my front yard. There's standing water in the backyards of the people on Green Valley, and that's without the subdivision. So those issues need to be addressed before I think anything could be, before that subdivision can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Any other opponents? Any other opponents? Seeing none, commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move that we close the public hearing.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we close the public hearing for case number 2020V as in Victor -001-01. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Staff recommends approval of the variance to reduce the front and rear yard setbacks as follows on the following lots. On lots 1, 15, 18, 20, and 21, to reduce the front yard setback of a reduction of 10 feet, and a rear yard setback reduction of 10 feet. And on lot 19, a front yard setback reduction of 30 feet and a rear yard setback reduction of 10 feet.
Commissioners, you've heard an opportunity to speak from, staff is still?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Kimberly Smith, Planning and Community Development Director. I'd just like to amend our recommendation to add 3 conditions.
Those conditions would be that
Speaking to the mic, please, Ms. Dunleavy. Yeah.
You can't hear?
No.
Sorry,
no.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just come closer. There is something wrong with this system, so.
I can't get any closer without one, anyway. Okay. Those conditions are that a planted buffer be provided by the applicant behind lots number 14 through 16. That planted buffer shall consist of evergreen plantings of 6 feet at the time of planting. Number 2, that the lots number 1 through 13 shall front on Stone Road, the houses shall front on Stone Road, and a sidewalk shall be provided along the development's frontage.
Were those, number 1, that's the evergreen, 6 feet at time of planting. Number 2, houses to front on Stone Road for lots 1 through 13. What was the condition number 3?
Sidewalk shall be provided along the development's frontage. And condition number 1, the planted buffer only applies to being behind lots 14 through 16.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Smith?
Yes, and I'd just like to add for the applicant to really look into the soil erosion and sedimentation concerns that the community members have by contacting our Public Works Department as well as our Water and Sewer Department.
Okay. Commissioners, you've heard staff's recommendation. Staff's recommendation is approval with 3 conditions as stated by our attorney for planning and zoning. At this time, and we've also heard from the applicant as well as from opponents for this zoning matter. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Motion.
Yes, Commissioner Mitchell.
I would like to make a motion that we defer this particular issue until our next meeting until the builders can have a great opportunity to talk to the community more about this. And once we, if it is seconded, I'll go into more detail.
Yes, please. Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Thank you. There's been a motion by Commissioner Mitchell for deferral to our regularly scheduled March meeting, correct? A regularly scheduled March meeting. That motion has been seconded by Commissioner Fan. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
I have discussion.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Mitchell.
Understanding what this community has gone through with back in 2007, 2008, with the start building and the stoppage of the current structures that are there, it was quite devastating to the community. The mud, the missing of the wildlife that was there, the water that came down. Now we have to deal with the traffic issues. So my suggestion, even though you guys, it's my understanding they did go through the CZIM, but it seems like a lot of people did not have an opportunity to voice their opinion or for you to get to them about it. I don't know much what we can do about stopping this, but you need to talk to the community, come up with some solution about traffic, about the water. The mud was just terrible. I was actually on council during that time that it happened, and that's all I heard when that other property was being built. So I encourage you to get with the community further before our next meeting and come up with some resolution or some solution. I didn't hear much about not doing it, but the concerns that they have need to be addressed. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Fan?
All right. Let me just say a couple of things. I didn't hear about lot number 19, which was one that they wanted a variance on. I didn't hear that called in the
conditions?
when you gave out the recommendations. I didn't hear lot 19. So what's going on with lot 19?
So within the site plan, their standard 40 by 50 house design, it doesn't quite fit with the standard reduction of 10 feet with the others. They needed an additional 20 feet setback width on lot 19.
Okay, but I didn't hear the recommendation to do that when you read it out in terms of doing that.
Let me explain that if I can, Commissioner
Please do.
Fan. The applicant is requesting variances on a number of lots from the front yard setback and from the rear yard setback. The conditions that I read out pertain to those lots that abut Stone Road, because there were some concerns expressed by, as I understand it, the community and members of the planning staff that the rear yards of those properties would be visible from Stone Road. So lots number, whatever the lot numbers were that I gave you, where the buffering is required, are those lots that the rear of the house would be visible from Stone Road unless there was a planted buffer. So staff is recommending that there be a planted buffer behind those particular lots. So as you go down Stone Road, you'll see a planted buffer as opposed to the rear of the houses. The other lots on Stone Road, the builder has informed us, the developer has informed us that the plan would be to orient those houses so that they would front on Stone Road, and that's what those conditions were. Lot number 19 is interior to the subdivision, and so those conditions would not be necessary or, relevant for that particular lot.
Okay, I heard some things that were disturbing to me, and I'm just going to be frank because everybody know how I am. Just say what's on my mind. I don't bite my tongue. I'm concerned, one, as the homeowner said, about the wall entrance in terms of going into a house. Now, I don't know if we can condition that or not, but that's a major concern. Erosion is a major concern. I don't know if we can condition that or not. If we can make that a condition that they that they have to have regular inspection in terms of road erosion issues, because stormwater is an issue, because water runoff is a real problem. People get flooded out with water running. With all the water we get now, it's major. So I don't know if we can condition that or not, Ms. Levy, as a part of condition.
If I might, Commissioner Fan, at the development stage, assuming that this variance were approved and this development were to go forward, if you look in the case notes that were provided by staff, a hydrology study is going to be required for this subdivision. We have soil and erosion regulations that at the development stage, this applicant would be required to comply with, and a stormwater analysis, has to be presented and approved by the City of East Point staff.
Well, no disrespect to you, but the city has done that in the past with the previous thing, and they still had the same problem. I mean, the problem is the problem. That's an issue. When water get erosion and that clay get hard on the ground, it's hard. It's like a brick. Georgia clay is hard. And people can't walk and stuff like that. I just think that we need to be strong and adamant about that, because if that's a major concern, that's a major concern for the people who live here and have lived here a long time. So I think that, and that's why I agree with deferment, I think we need to have some real discussion about it, not trying to hold up development, but there needs to be a traffic study. Stone Road is crazy. I mean, we got all kinds of problems going up and down Stone Road. I would call his name David, who stayed on Stone Road, complained about Stone Road for years. Am I right, Councilman? Commissioner. Am I right?
Yeah, he's still there.
That's a real issue. Stone Road is a real issue, and if we're going to put all that traffic out there on Stone Road, it is going to be a problem. So you're going to have to do a traffic study. You're going to have to look at it, and that's from a real sense. So that's why I said let's defer it. Let's have more conversation about it. Let's make the residents more easy about the problem that they already experienced and what they may experience with this development. So defer it, and that's why I agreed that we defer it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Sir, it's not a back and forth. The public hearing is now closed, sir. The public hearing is now closed. Let me just be very clear. Several of the residents came before. They had questions. When you came to the podium, the questions were not responded to because it's a public hearing. It's an opportunity for the commission to hear from the public. We do not engage in back and forth. And so one side is not going to have an opportunity to get up to ask other questions or present their case. The public hearing is closed. There was a motion, there was a second, this body voted on it. The public hearing is closed. Okay? Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? Okay. One of the things that I would like to say about this before we take a vote on this, because I know that some of the residents had brought up some questions about it, is that as you can see that the applicant is asking for a variance on only some of the lots. And if I recall correctly, there are 32 lots. And so this vote and what we're talking about tonight is not whether the project can go forward, it's about whether these lots will receive a variance. And basically what that is about is that there's a set of laws and standards for building. And so for what they would like to do, as those things have changed, those things are outside of those laws and they're asking to vary from those. So this vote, when it does come back before this body, is not about whether this can be built, it's about whether those lots will receive a variance, okay? So I would like to go ahead, if there are no more questions, comments, or concerns about this, then the motion on the floor is to defer to our regularly scheduled. Sir, the public hearing is closed. The public hearing is closed, sir. If there are no other comments, questions, or concerns, the motion is to defer this agenda item to our regularly scheduled March meeting. The motion was made by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Fan. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. This agenda item is deferred to our regularly scheduled March meeting. Our next agenda item is 2020U as an umbrella -001-01. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Our next agenda item is case number 2020U-001-01. The applicant is the Midnight Construction Group. At 2105 Deloe Drive, the applicant seeks to construct a habitable accessory structure within the R1 zoning district that is approximately 700 square feet.
Thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for this agenda item. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Tucker, that we open the public hearing for case number 2020U as an umbrella -001-01. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Is our applicant, the Midnight Construction Group, present?
Yes, sir.
State your first and last name and your current address.
Corey Wilson, current address is 1682 Hearthstone Court, Jonesboro, Georgia. All right. What we're going to be doing is building a tiny house structure in the rear of the current existing structure at 2105. And it will be roughly about 742 square feet. And it's for an older couple that's relocating to be closer to their grandchildren. And the current homeowners that live there, that it's their actual parents that's coming to inhabit that home. So it's to be an accessory habitable structure.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning application? Any other proponents? Any other proponents? Are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning application? Any opponents? Any opponents? Hearing none and seeing none, commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Tucker, that we close the public hearing for case number 2020U as an umbrella -001-01. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed.
Thanks, sir.
Staff, would you please sound your recommendation for this agenda item?
For case number 2020U-001-01, staff recommends approval.
Okay. Commissioners, you've heard from the applicant and you've heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner McKnight.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Let's see, case number 2020U-00101.
Okay. She tailed off a little bit at the end, but that case number is 2020U is an umbrella -001-01. I promise you I'm going to get her a microphone for Christmas, okay? Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight, seconded by Commissioner Tucker, that this body recommends approval for this agenda item. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This body recommends approval. Our next agenda item is 2020M as in Mary -001-01. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
In case number 2020M-001-01, the applicant, City of East Point, is proposing a text amendment to allow for commercial parking lots and parking garages and automobile truck rental, lease, and sales offices use within the I-1 Light Industrial Zoning District.
Thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 2020M as in Mary -001-01. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we open the public hearing for this agenda item. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Staff, you're the applicant. First and last name and current address, Albert.
So, Albert Trevino, 2757 East Point Street. Currently, these two uses are not allowed within the I-1 zoning district. These two uses can be characterized as being consistent with other uses currently within that zoning district. At the moment, there may be some currently legal nonconforming uses within that zoning district, and so therefore staff is recommending that these uses be allowed in this district.
Let me rephrase that if I could. The text amendment was put forward for exactly the reasons that Mr. Trevino has outlined. However, the staff recommendation is for withdrawal due to the adoption of a moratorium on new industrial applications by the City Council within the last week.
Okay. Are we dealing with the staff recommendation of withdrawal, approval, deferral, any of those things right now?
We're really not, but I wanted to correct that before it went too far.
Okay. So we're going to move forward with the public hearing. Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Any other proponents?
Good evening. Again, my name is David Huter. I'm with United Consulting, located at 625 Holcomb Bridge Road in Norcross. I'm here on behalf of the owners of Sylvan Airport Parking. Their facility is located within the I-1 district and is sort of the subject of this text amendment. And the issue is that obviously they have an existing facility that has been brought to their attention that is now a non-conforming use. We would obviously speak in favor of the approval of the text amendment. We would request that it not be withdrawn. We understand that there was the moratorium that was issued. However, this text amendment was submitted prior to that moratorium, so I would argue that this text amendment would still be allowed. And quite honestly, if you look at the actual wording of the moratorium, the wording in the moratorium specifically says that the intent is to allow the City Council to make amendments to the I-1 zoning classification, zoning district. So by their own definition within the moratorium, the part of the purpose of it is to consider and look at text amendments. So we would certainly suggest or ask that this be considered and not withdrawn. At worst, if you're not willing to approve that tonight, we would just ask that it be deferred so that we could have an opportunity to have some further discussion both with staff as well as City Council and the Mayor with regard to the language of the moratorium and the text amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Uter. Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Any other proponents? Are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Any opponents? Hearing none and seeing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we close the public hearing for case number 2020 M as in Mary -001-01. All in favor sound aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, staff recommends withdrawal of the text amendment to allow for commercial parking lots and parking garages, and also automobile truck rental, lease, and sales office use within the I-1 Light Industrial Zoning District.
Thank you. Commissioners, we've heard from the applicant, which is the city. We've also heard proponents for this particular zoning matter, and we've heard staff's recommendation for withdrawal. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Motion for delay. We can delay it.
A delay, I don't think that...
Well, you know what I'm saying.
You say a deferral?
Defer, the same thing as delay. Delay, we're going to delay it. Defer it, whatever you want to call it, but it's the same thing.
Well, sort of, Commissioner Fan, but is it for a time since...
Let's give them a month. Let's give them the next month, too, to be able to talk it out with the council, since they did, with the mayor and council, since they did apply for this.
Okay,
So this
we'll have to go into the, we have to get a second. We have to get a second, okay? So there is a motion to defer to our regularly scheduled March meeting by Commissioner Fan. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Tucker, that we defer this agenda item to our regularly scheduled March meeting. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none and seeing none, Commissioners, at this time, all in... Okay. All in favor of the deferral, sound aye. Aye. All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The body has voted to defer this item to the next regularly scheduled meeting. We'll now move into our agenda item number 6, which is the commission elections. For those who are present with us this evening, the bylaws state that officers for this body are elected every February of the year. And so we have several positions, and I do not have those in front of me. There is a provisional chair, and there's a vice chair, and there's a chair. And what am I missing? Is that all? Okay. We start with the provisional chair. Commissioners, at this time, At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for nominations for the office of provisional chair. It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Fan, that we open the floor for the office of provisional chair. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hear none. The ayes have it. The floor is open for nominations for provisional chair. Yes, Commissioner Miller. Okay. It's been moved. It's been Mr. Bell, Commissioner Bell has been nominated for the office of provisional chair. It's been made by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Fan. Mr. Bell, is this a position that you would accept?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to close the nominations for the office of provisional chair.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, seconded by Commissioner Fan, that we close the nomination for the office of provisional chair. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The nominations are closed for the office of provisional chair. Commissioners, we have one candidate for the office of provisional chair. He has accepted the position if things go well and in his favor. So for all of those who have caucused, and are you in favor of Jared Bell as serving as provisional chair for this body, sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Commissioner Bell, congratulations as provisional chair for 2020. Our next position is the office of Vice Chair for the Commission, and at this time, Commissioners are entertaining a motion to open the floor for nominations. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Fan, that we open the floor for nominations for the office of Vice Chair. All in favor sound aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The nominations are open for the office of Vice Chair.
Mr. Chair, I would nominate Will Miller.
Is there a second for that nomination? Mr. Miller, would you accept the position as Vice Chair? Okay. Are there any other nominations for the office of Vice Chair? Hearing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the nominations for the position of Vice Chair. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Tucker, second by Commissioner Fan, that we close the nomination for the office of Vice Chair. All in favor sound aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The nominations are closed for the office of Vice Chair. We've got one candidate for Vice Chair. That's Commissioner Will Miller. Mr. Willer has accepted the position if all things go well, and the vote is in his favor. At this time, all commissioners who vote in favor of Commissioner Will Miller for Vice Chair sound aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Commissioner Miller, congratulations on the office of Vice Chair. I now turn it over to you to conduct the election for the office of Chair.
So I'd like to open the nomination for Chair. All in favor opening the nomination for Chair, say aye.
You need a motion.
Oh.
Sorry, you need someone to make the motion to open.
I'll make the motion that we open up for the office of Chair.
Second.
Thank you.
It's been motioned by by Commissioner Fan and seconded by Commissioner Tucker Todd that we open up the nomination for election of the Chair. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The floor is open for nominations.
Second.
The floor is open for nominations.
I make the motion to John be Chair again.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
I oppose and I'm for you.
I accept.
I'm for you and I'm against you too. But
Okay.
yeah.
I'd like to make a mission. Would like to close the public hearing for the election of Chair.
So moved. Second.
All opposed?
Congratulations, Sean.
We vote on it.
So all in favor for Commissioner Sean Atkins for Chair, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You guys have it.
Congratulations, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Miller. All right. We'll move on to now announcements. Are there any announcements from staff that's for the good of the body? Okay. Commissioners, do you have any announcements? Okay. We now entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we adjourn our February 20th, 2020 meeting. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This meeting is now adjourned.